informed us that we are live on ReaLAWstate with Patti and Kate. Woo, woo. So if you would just, if you were a guidance counselor and you just heard that, we don't mean you. So here we are, and we're tucked away in the Agent Rising office because I didn't get myself over to the other office in time. And so anyways, welcome. But Patti, I want you to meet a friend of mine. Okay, wait a minute. Should we be on gallery view? We are on gallery view. Okay, so I want you to meet a friend of mine. His name is Larry Lawfer. Yes. And Larry is a person who I have known in the industry for, I don't know, about 10 years, I think. And he and I have served on many committees together. And a lot of it has to do with professional standards, professional development, and also Larry is a mad marketing, he's a pioneer. You know, he was when, yeah, right, Larry, when Active Rain was just starting out, you were the ambassador for Active Rain?
I still am.
You still are. So he's still on there. I just checked out your blog post, and we might go over there after if we have time. His blog post, he blogs every single day. Every day?
Pretty much.
Wow, that's discipline.
Yeah, and they're good. They're good.
Yeah.
It's like there's great content, and that's and of course, like the most recent interaction that Larry and I had was that Larry is the host of brokertalk.com.
Yes,
so he's doing a podcast. Yes,
yeah, you were on there. I remember that.
Yeah, and I said we have to have him on our show.
Absolutely,
and
which is cool.
Yeah, so you know he was a pioneer as far as the podcasting goes. I think now you're celebrating. What are you celebrating over there?
Well, this is our the beginning of our second full year for Broker Talk.
Tell us about it.
Broker Talk, I moved from Keller Williams, where I had been for 6 years, to Castles Unlimited to do these kinds of things, to be able to interact with real people talking real estate, and not, you know, and Keller Williams is a great company,
phenomenal company,
not spewing the party line, but talking about the things that all real estate agents talk about in every agency. So that was really the genesis of what Broker Talk would be. And because of your communication skills, I want to remind you, Kate, we actually met, our first full time was when you were chairman of the communications committee for Lawfer.
Okay. So that's all right. So there we go. So that was
chairman of communication.
I
can't imagine. She's so horrible at communicating.
But anyways, what I will say about Larry is a true thought leader in our industry. And one of the things that Patti and I always look for is like people who kind of drink the same Kool-Aid we drink, you know, and I think that you do. And, you know, so tell her, Larry, and tell our little friends that are watching, all of our amazing people who are going to watch now and then in replay, about what your tagline is on your business and what you call your business.
Well, the whole question about answering what you do for a living is a hard one. And I really sat and thought for a while, and I realized that what I do for a living is I listen for a living. I can't do anything for anybody until you tell me what it is that you have in your mind. I already have a house. I'm not looking for my house. I already have a life, and, you know, in all of its beauty and all its mess. I want to hear about yours. And so that's why I listen for a living.
And so when you go to his Twitter handle, it says, I listen for a living. And actually, I have this all for later if we go playing on screen share. That was what I was practicing at 5:30.
Well, I would say that's exactly how I describe what I do for a living.
Yes, and she's an attorney.
Yeah. And that's exactly, you have to listen. It has to be active listening. You can't be trying to get to your next question, anticipating what they're going to say. You have to really listen. And I think some people are amazed. I think this is how I get clients on the first, meeting and then keep them, is they're so amazed that we start off our conversation an hour later, I can totally bring it back to what we first started talking about, which just shows like I'm listening, I'm remembering what you're saying, I care about what your goals were, and I think we brought it full circle and we're meeting those goals. And I think that's so important. So I love that you say that. I think that's
so he listens for a living. And now tell the name of your is it your team or is it your business within a business?
It's my team, and it's always been Your Stories Realty Group since I've been in real estate. That didn't start with real estate. Before I was a real estate professional, I owned a photography company and traveled all over the world doing photographs for annual reports, and
Wow.
aging
That's
white
cool.
guys looking good was what that was back then.
Yeah.
Now I am an aging white guy, but
So tell me some stories about that, because that sounds really cool, Larry.
oh, it was fabulous. And one of the benefits of all of that work is I'm absolutely comfortable talking to people I don't know and
Yeah.
eliciting some kind of interest. And I want to say something about listening. Listening is not just listening to the words, but
Yes.
watching the person. I know you do this because I've
Yes.
watched you, Kate, and I can tell that you do that as well, is that you have to see how they're relating to you. Are they closing themselves off? Are they opening themselves up? That's all part of it. And that is a quiet task.
Yeah.
You're not trying to sell anything, you're trying to understand.
But isn't the greatest victory when those hands all of a sudden come down and now they're leaning forward because they're engaged? I love that. That's like my
Yeah.
favorite part.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
you got me. And
Yeah.
and I will say for both of you is that it's authenticity. You are both completely authentic in this, and you genuinely care about people. And I don't think you
Right
can
back
fake
at you, sister.
and
I
I
don't
don't
think you're excluded from that group.
I don't thank you, but I don't think you can fake that, And
No.
but I love how you've gone out on a limb and you call yourself Your Stories, and you say you listen for a living. And I think that that's really cool.
How long ago did you become a broker?
10 years ago.
10 years ago. Nice. Okay.
Yeah, it was November 15th, 2010.
Wow. I would not be able to tell you when I did. Don't ask me what day it was yesterday.
I
So
got my Texas license in December 19th, December 14th, 2019. So I had a Texas license before I had a Mass license.
okay,
That's
there you
interesting.
go. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw.
What I learned in 9 months down there is that no New Englander belongs in Texas. They kept calling me a Yankee, and I said, I'm a Red Sox. Leave me alone.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. Well, I will tell you, since I've stayed in New England for a while now, my accent is getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
And whereas I do the videos a lot, I'm like, oh my God, that is awful. So I'm going to try to work on that when I grow up. Awful.
It's awful.
So anyway, so tell us now, let's go back to the podcast for a little bit, because I think that, so again, some of our messages are smarter real estate, right? And we take the stress out of your move. So those are a couple of the things that we kind of dig into. And part of that smarter real estate is trend setting and trying to be innovative in a way that we can connect with people.
Sure.
And Patti and I have talked before about the podcast thing. And I love that you're going to your second year and you're also growing it. And I'd love you to tell us about how you're growing it, number one. And number two, if you can kind of circle that into your stories that you've been relating with lately.
Can I even stop? I'd like to know how you guys, or the gentleman that you do it with, how you guys got together and decided to do it. Like, what was that push?
The owner of Castles Unlimited, Jen Lowenstern, met me online because he followed my blog when I started that in 2019. When I came back to Massachusetts, he saw that I had come back to Massachusetts and he reached out to me before anyone had. He wanted to have me join Castles, and it took him 8.5 years to get me over there.
Yeah.
I had to go through some things. I was part of the ALC of Keller Williams, and I've been
leadership, right?
Yeah,
ALC
that's
stands for leadership.
It's the top 20% of the agents are eligible for it, and then you have to demonstrate. Then you have to demonstrate it that you're willing to be a leader and to help people.
Nice.
And you are. That is your nature. I know that for sure.
I like helping. I like the attaboys afterwards. You and I talked about that yesterday, Kate.
Yeah.
What motivates you? And what motivates you is what you're always looking for in your day. And I have never been driven by the money. I've been driven by the lives I change with the services I provide.
Yeah.
And you make a good living that way. You don't have to be looking for the money, but agents come in all sizes, shapes, knowledge from different backgrounds.
Yeah.
There's room for everybody. You just have to be good at what you do.
And I can tell you, Larry, and I don't even know when you told me this. Actually, it wasn't you who told me. I was listening to your podcasts and you had on there a friend from, I think, Florida, who I think maybe also worked at Keller Williams when you did. And they were script partners. And so they practiced on each other. They role played on each other. I don't know what you call it. You can tell us like the whole thing. But I was so impressed that like 10 years ago, whatever, 5 years ago, they were Florida and Massachusetts practicing on each other.
That's awesome.
And they stayed in touch and he was on your show, right?
Brian Salchuk is his name. He's a fantastic agent. He has a great place in Fort Lauderdale, does a lot of work. We've also had several other people from that script practicing. Renee Ahmed, he's from Toronto, and he is a monster real estate agent up in that state. But we practice because you have to practice. So we script practiced every single day, 5 days a week with a different person from our group. So we would be just 15, 20 minutes. You would pretend you were either an expired or so one agent would be the prospect and the other agent would be the agent. And we would do that back and forth and then start right in on our day. Makes you very, very good at helping people get through their questions.
And it also prepares you as a person who wants to help people and solve and get those attaboys and have that kind of solution-oriented business model. It has you prepared for like the thing that doesn't normally happen, you know, and I think that is just so smart. And, you know, it helps you think on your feet and it helps you be able to hear perspectives from other people. But I love the fact that it was now across the world. I thought it was just across the country, you know, and I just think that's an attaboy, you know, that was really cool. All right, but we got off topic again. I want to bring you back to your broker talk because I know that you've got some exciting new developments going on. And I also want to talk about so Patti and I have done a few arcs, right? So we had, and actually we're not quite done with it. We just took a little diversion from it, which was the Dirty Dozen. COVID. Yeah, the darn COVID, the Dirty Dozen of investing, right? And so Patti has this whole initiative going. She has a special Twitter handle for it. I don't think they call it handles, but that's what we call it.
They do call it handles. They do.
So I did not know that they were called. So anyway, she has a Twitter handle on the Dirty Dozen. It's Dirty Dozen for women. No, Dirty
Dozen RE for women.
For women. And anyways, so we have these arcs going, and I think that you're like what you're talking about right now with where you're going in your podcast and where you're going with the stories. So back to you, and we won't interrupt, maybe.
Well, it's fits and starts always. But when we started Broker Talk, it was purely a audio show. And we chose 30 minutes because if you drive somewhere, it's quite often 30 minutes. If you're going to go for a walk, it's quite often 30 minutes. So we wanted to have a bite-sized piece of information. And we went along, we had many, many wonderful guests, people from all over the world. We had the head of the Small Business Administration from Australia come in, and he was talking about low cost and no cost marketing. He was awesome.
Yeah, that is so cool.
But what has helped grow our show is that we went from purely a podcast to this Zoom show, and we run it live. We quadrupled the number of people who were watching.
And they go live to YouTube, right?
Yeah. It's not on YouTube yet, but it will be next week.
Nice.
And YouTube is just a better platform for a number of reasons than we're on FaceTime. I love FaceTime. Hey Sam, how you doing? He doesn't watch my show, so.
Well, he's on Facebook in now.
He's on Facebook. He hardly ever uses it. He works for them.
Yeah, that's so funny.
But one of the things that really helped, and I might suggest you guys do this, is we came up with a single word that we use for the show. So last week's word was change. And we had, I don't know if you know David Hill, but David Hill's
yes, I know David. He does a podcast also.
He just left Keller Williams and he's now with EXP.
Okay.
So that was part of the change that he spoke about. But there's all kinds of legal changes, in the way we do business. So next week's show is about my hometown.
Oh, I
So
love that.
it's simple, it's a catchy kind of simple phrase
Yeah.
that you can promote during the week. People kind of wonder what's that going to be.
Right.
I like that. I like that a lot.
So now in my hometown, do you like kind of focus in on being like the community expert or providing for your hometown, or like or is it the stories in the hometown? How is it that you're angling that? Like, what are you digging into?
So our guests next week are a guy named Joe. I think I know him as Joe Fredericks. His name might be Joseph Fredericks. I went to high school with him. He is the supervisor of the county where I grew up. He's the
Okay.
supervisor of my hometown. So I brought him
And
in.
what's your hometown?
Doylestown, Pennsylvania.
Oh,
Wow.
okay. All right. See,
Where
sometimes
Washington-
it takes a pause and you wonder if he's going to answer us. We're like cutting edge undercover here. We're going to find
Yeah.
out. Well, yeah, we are. Larry Lawfer is from
I'm
Pennsylvania.
from Doylestown, Pennsylvania.
Doylestown, okay.
Great town. Pink is from there.
Oh my gosh. All right. So you and
Yeah.
Pink. So she must say like Larry Lawfer's from Doylestown, So she's out telling people about where she's from.
They're hanging together.
Yeah, they're hanging. All right. So anyways, so what is he saying about the hometown? Back on track.
I don't know yet. I
okay.
have questions to ask him, and we always do a pre-interview before we do, because it's only 30 minutes and you really have to kind of hone in on what you're talking about.
Yeah, would be smart.
The other guest is Ashley Harwood, who she's a former agent. I think she still may be an agent, but she started a coaching company for introverts. She's an introverted person, and even introverts can make a living in this. I happen to be an introvert.
I'm an introvert.
Yeah.
And I agree. I mean, you can train yourself to, that's where the listening is fun, right? And that's where I think that it happens that way.
Yeah.
So coaching for introverts.
So her hometown is outside Detroit, Michigan.
Okay.
Jim's hometown is somewhere on Long Island.
Okay.
He's going to actually talk about Needham, where he lives.
Okay.
I could talk about Milton, but it's really more about, for me, in terms of real estate, it's place and space. Where you live is important. You go to that high school, you have friends from there. Those friends you grew up with know all the secrets. You can pull them.
True.
There's a joy to that. And in my real estate world, I like to see if people, as we go around and visiting houses, because they're looking everywhere until they kind of hone in, is this your hometown? Does this feel like home? Because for me, I mean, that's the whole your story aspect of it. This is where you're going to make your memories. So does this feel right for you?
I love that. I think that's just from a consumer, because I'm not a salesperson, so I've never had that role. So I'm always, when we're having our meetings, I'm like, okay, well, as the civilian in the room, this is how
the earthling.
This is how I would look at it. And I know when my husband and I were first trying to figure out where we were going to land, we were familiar with the surrounding towns, but some of them, they just weren't me. They just didn't feel right. Exactly what you're saying. And because my husband's like, well, but it's a good bargain,
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious.
Yeah, I love that.
And so Tommy, take me through when you meet somebody for the first time as a prospect, right? And you start talking to them about their story. How do they respond to that? Like, what do you see their shoulders go down? Like relaxed, or like what happens? What kind of magic happens, Larry?
Well, you have to be more specific. Are we talking about a cold call where I'm talking to somebody, or actually physically meeting them for the first time?
Physically meeting them. Like, so you're meeting with them and you're sitting down and you're opening up whatever it is you do, whether it's your computer or a notepad or whatever. And you start saying like, this is how, this is my job, is to listen and, whatever. How does it go?
Well, they've heard some of it because I'm in their house, or I'm in a Zoom call right now with them, and they're showing me their house, with their phone. But Mostly, it's about trying to dig down into what their story is. I
Okay.
used to, when I first started, remember the days when you had an hour and a half presentation, and it was
I
on your
do
computer?
indeed.
And we were so proud of that. And I used to, right from the day one, I would come in with my presentation. It was always on a disc and 20 questions. And I would say, I could show you this marketing piece, which says how my agency is good and I'm the best one and all of that. Or I could ask you these 20 questions, which are all about you. Which would you rather do?
Yeah.
Everybody always chose because they'd seen 2 or 3 other presentations.
Right. And I call it the 0 moment of truth. By the time they meet us and by the time we're there, they already know stuff.
Yeah.
Like they've already stalked us, kind of like I did at that little one before on yours and pulled up your Twitter and your LinkedIn. Like they already know everything, right?
Yeah.
And so, they got you to where you are. I mean, I don't think you ever go in blind anymore.
No.
I mean, no. I don't believe so anyways. So that's cool. All right, so let's.
So when I'm there, I have the 20 questions and the 20 questions.
Can I find you 20 questions on Active Rain?
I could actually send them to you if you'd like to.
I would
have them, but
I would love that.
Yeah.
I adjust them to whoever I am because nobody's the same.
Right.
Even the two of you, you're good friends and you're partners and everything, but you're different people.
Yeah.
You have different families and you have different likes and dislikes, and so I need to know that because that's important.
Right.
That's cool. That's nice.
I like it.
All right. So when we were talking earlier, you said something to the effect of, I'm like, what message do you want to get across? And you're like, I really want to get across that everything's going to be all right. Can you expand on that and just share like where you're going with that and how you're relating, with all of the things that you're doing to our day, like what's happening today?
I'll let you in on it's no secret because I'm going to share it with you, what I actually say on my cold calls. So I chase expired and canceled listings that have not been on the market for a long time. They might have been expired 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So I call them up and I say, hi, I'm Larry. I wanted to share some great news with you. Real estate is not going to be our problem for us moving forward here in Massachusetts. Prices are holding. And in fact, right now, you can get your house sold in remotely and safely. And I just thought I wanted to share that good news with you. If you have any questions, give me a call.
That's awesome.
So I'm curious about what the reaction
No
is.
sales thing. No sales in that call. It's all giving.
Yeah. So I'm just curious because, I think there are a lot of people out there and they're getting, the mixed messages out there like we all are. I think when we're in real estate, we see what's happening on a regular basis, but people who are not a part of that, they're just listening to the rhetoric. It might be, nervous. So I'm just curious, what has been the response when you say that? Have people been receptive of that, or they fight you on that a little bit?
I haven't had people fight me on that because in that situation, the fight is no, thank you, goodbye.
Okay.
So there's
You're
no
like sticks and stones.
You're always looking for the right people, not the wrong people.
Right.
You have to go through a lot of wrong people to get to the right people.
Yeah. And then the people who you continue a conversation with, are they thankful to hear that from you, or they're receptive?
Yeah, just like with you, if you really show you genuinely care about someone and they feel safe with you, they're going to open right up.
Yeah.
And that right away. The shoulders do go down, but they'll ask you specific and more personal type questions. A money question is always a key thing. If you're a real estate agent and somebody's showing a property, looking at a property, if one of them says, well, what are the taxes? Or,
good question.
Something like that. And the other tell-all is when they walk out of the house and they turn around and they talk about it. They look back at the house for 15 minutes. You got a sale then, or at least.
I love that. The psychology of it. I love it.
Yeah. So that's awesome. And
what's the market there like? Because we're down in southeastern Mass, And so you're up towards Boston. I don't know if we had let the audience know that yet or not, but what's kind of your area and what have you seen? Because I agree, at least what we've seen is the market is fine and stronger than ever. Have you seen much change up there, or what's your thoughts on that?
Yes, lots of change. And it's remarkable what it is. So I went before my show last week and I looked for the month before. So I think it was April 22nd to the 30 days back. And I looked at active, new, under agreement, contingent, sold, expired, canceled.
Yeah.
Everything was the same last year and this year, 219,
Wow.
220. So the same number of new listings, the same number of active listings, the same number of contingent listings, the same number of under agreement listings. What was different was the sold listings and the expired listings. So the sold listings in 2019 in 02459, which is which is Newton Center,
Okay.
they sold 10 properties, got sold in that period of time last year.
Yep.
This year, 156.
Wow. That is crazy.
Exactly.
And you had 150 of them, right, Larry?
I'll tell you, in March, there are a bunch of smart agents and they said, we got to get this done. Something's
Nice.
going to happen.
Yeah.
And lawyers stepped up and banks stepped up. It was remarkable.
It's amazing.
And then you had the other.
That's a success story.
It's an absolute, and I'm watching that closely. It actually makes me enthusiastic about going out and telling people because I can tell that story and it can help those expired because the number of expired listings quadrupled. So you had people who were fearful, correctly so, and you had people who were aggressive, and that works too. You can be either.
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
Yep.
And I think we've been amazed too down here is just kind of the collaboration. Like there's like this sense of, hey, we all get it. This is an unusual situation.
Yeah. Yep.
We're all in this crisis, but we all have the same goal is to get this person to the end. How are we going to do that? And we're all kind of working our angle of it. And I think there's been more collaboration than ever between the attorney and the realtor and the insurance company and the mortgage company. Like there's so much more of that. Do you feel that too?
The good people are doing that. There's also, I always say, not all agents, not all lawyers, not all inspectors are created equal. True. You got the A students and you got the C students we can work with. And so I had a deal that closed last week, and that agent, she's a well-known agent in a town that we won't talk about, and she did absolutely nothing. And all she did was complain about us. We did everything, including replacing things that she was supposed to do. And
it's a D- agent.
It goes into the hall of shame. Somebody's name like that. And so I say, don't try and retaliate. Don't try and get even.
No, just get to the closing table.
Yeah. Do you want to be right or do you want to close? I always want to get the deal done for people. Right. Not because it's money, it's because everybody's put so much into it.
And people's lives are at stake. Where they're going to live is very important. Along that, I always think when I'm working with let's just say a deadbeat, right? And and that person is just messing up left and right. And I think to myself that their buyer or their seller is worth at least 5 referrals, and someone's getting them, and I am kind. I do, yes, my job and their job. And I'm like, what, I'm going to get those referrals after because people can see, their senses are so heightened at that point in time because there's it's stress times X, right? Yeah. So,
and I think we've had those conversations with some of our newer agents. I know one in particular, I had the conversation where it was the same thing. D student on the other side, not getting things done, not getting back to people, blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, then we need to pick up the ball and run with that. And she's like, but is that okay? It's not my job. I don't care. It's your job to get to the finish line. That is your job.
Yeah.
And that's what you're going to do. And at the end, it's aggravating, but how good do you feel being that relentless, knowing it's in my client's best interest to get them to that finish line, and I got them there.
And it's always the things that you do above and beyond that you don't say a word about that people are noticing, that come back that you hear about, you know? And so I think that that's super cool.
Here's another secret sauce on it.
Okay.
When I have someone like that and they're asking me to do a lot, I'm always polite and I'm usually gracious about it. Sure, no problem. I'll go do that for you. I'll do the fire inspection for you, no problem. And I pay for it and all of that. And then at the end, the day of the closing, they're all really happy. Oh, I'm their best friend now. I ask them for a recommendation. And I get these agents who are horrible recommending me. And so when I'm out presenting, I'll ask, well, who else are you talking to? And they'll name one of these Hall of Shame agents. And I said, oh, you should read what they said about me when I helped them.
That is awesome, Larry.
Yeah.
I love that.
I knew you two would get along.
Oh, we are
my
so
gosh.
talking about that at our Monday
Yes,
morning
we are.
meeting
I'm
tomorrow.
taking notes. We're going to watch this whole video at our meeting because you've had so many good nuggets in here, Larry.
Well, it's a pleasure to talk to both of you. I'm thrilled to be on your show.
Yeah. So I want to just close with, I mean, to me, you are more than a real estate agent. You know, as I said earlier, like you are a thought leader. You've been a thought leader. Like, you know, to be an ambassador agent at Active Rain for so long, and to be the pioneer there, to be the pioneer who's doing podcasting, to be the pioneer who's outing himself as a listener, you know, and listening to their stories and saying it's about them, bozo. It's not about you, right? Like you have been, I think, like when I listen, and you're so smart, like you gotta, I mean, like I'm learning about architecture on your podcast. I'm learning about a lot of things. And it's like, you have such good insights. And I just want to say, like, I notice, right? And I'm sure that other people do as well. And hopefully maybe after this, people watching both Real Estate and ReaLAWstate, they'll be like, what about Larry Lawfer? Let's start listening to Larry. I want to know about
I think everybody
architecture.
should, because I listened to a few. I was doing my homework.
Yeah.
I think they're great. And both of you are just so well versed, well spoken, and it's a pleasure to listen to it. Like there's nothing where you're like, oh my God, guys, you know, push it along. You know, you have those podcasts. It's not that at all. It's very enjoyable.
Yeah. And you know what else I like is
the feeling is mutual. The feeling is mutual, and to that end, my sister lives in your area.
She does.
And I had Kate. I referred Kate
Yes.
to, you know, and so
And when she's ready, I'm ready.
we hope she's going to be ready sometime.
She's a doll. I love her. She is so cool. She's also extremely cool. You must have had cool parents because you guys are both amazing.
We were raised by wolves, but that's a different story.
My children say they were raised by wolves as well. Oh my gosh. All right. So we're going to loop this out. Larry, where can they find you? We'll also put them in the notes.
Where can you find me?
Yeah.
You mean right now?
No. Yes. Where's that yellow room?
Where's the audience?
This is our dining room
Oh, it's very
in our
nice.
home in
You have
Milton.
nice artwork on the wall. No, wait. So I know it's like at Larry Lawfer, but you're.
Oh yeah,
You're,
I'm Larry Lawfer everywhere.
right. Your blog though has a different name.
My blog has a different name, and I think that's an interesting story too. When I started out, most people use their, you know, Larry Lawfer's, you know, excellent blog.
All about Larry, right?
Yeah, and I never wanted that. What I wanted, I began to think, and what are people searching for? And I wanted to be where they were searching. So my blog is called, well, there's two of them. One is called Truth and Service, and the other is called Boston Area Move-In Homes.
Perfect.
So if you look for either of those, you will find me. I'm kind of everywhere.
All right.
And
Awesome.
not on
Yeah.
YouTube yet.
Yeah.
Well, that's
awesome.
coming. That's coming.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Next thing you know, you'll be in Southeastern Mass, and you'll be stealing my Janet from me. All right, Larry. Thank you so much. What is your parting pearl of wisdom for our listeners and for us?
No pressure.
Do something you love and do it to your best ability every single day, and hug someone at the end. that you can.
Yeah, right. 6 feet apart.
Yeah. So like, I know people are like hugging's never coming back. I'm like, I am not going to thrive. Like, it's just not going to
It's
happen.
hard.
It is really hard. It's
Yeah.
really hard. Yeah. So, all right. Well, then elbows to you, buddy. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Kate.
All right.
Great to meet you guys.
All right.
Yes,
Take
bye.
care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.